And welcome back, everyone, to the Daily Aid. Fall is right around the corner. At least those temperatures are here in West Michigan. And as people start to get excited about being outside a little bit longer, enjoying the cooler temperatures, well, that also sparks the questions of where are the bats going to be going? Bats all across West Michigan are possibly looking for warmer places to locate in the night. And that might even include your garage or even parts of your home. Well, we want to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible, especially after a bat tested positive for rabies right here in Kent County. There have been a couple of those incidents that have happened across the state already. So we spoke to somebody from the Berrien County Health Department to talk about the best practices when dealing with bats and also how to stay safe around potential rabies. Sara, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, a really important topic that we want to delve a little bit deeper into right now. Really wanted to have this conversation specifically after earlier this month, there was a bat in Grand Rapids actually that tested positive for rabies. And obviously, Sara, we don't want to start a panic and think that this is something that people are going to run in every single day, part of their everyday lives now. But it is an important topic to discuss that, yes, there are in fact bats here, not just in Kent County, not just in Grand Rapids, not just in West Michigan, but across the state really that could potentially carry bats. And this isn't something that we want to really shy away from.
Yeah, it's really important that we just keep in mind that bats can carry rabies. They're the most common animal to be found with rabies on testing. And we just want to make sure this time of year that people know that there are steps that we can take to help keep people safe if they are exposed to a bat.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's typically around the colder months when we maybe start seeing the bats trying to find a warmer place to stay. Not really something we're dealing with too much here in West Michigan with how hot it's been. But again, this is something that we are going to be thinking about and dealing with a little bit more as the fall and winter months kind of get here. And while rabies is a rare situation, it is, again, a very serious illness that I don't think a lot of us really understand a whole lot about. So, Sara, if you wouldn't mind just kind of explaining really kind of what rabies is and really sort of the negative side effects and some of the things that it can really do to somebody or one of our pets even as well.
Yeah, so rabies is fortunately very rare these days due to animal vaccination and the rabies vaccine that we can give after people are exposed. So it's a viral infection, and what happens is it travels along your nerves from the bite site until it reaches your brain. And in your brain, it causes a very serious infection and swelling. And initially, that leads to maybe some flu-like symptoms, maybe feverish, little body aches, headaches, might have some tingling at the bite site. And then it progresses into more serious illness where people become confused and agitated. They start to have hypersalivation. They start producing excess saliva. They don't want to drink water. Eventually, their brain starts to shut their body down and they go into a coma and then they die. Rabies is almost always fatal. There have only been a handful of cases in the world where people have been known to survive infection. But again, it's very rare as long as we follow the steps that we need to keep ourselves healthy.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into some of those helpful tips in just a little bit, Sara. Definitely want to make sure that we emphasize those maybe a couple of times during this conversation as well, because I know it is something that is on people's minds, especially, like I said, after we had that confirmed case here in Kent County. And I know over in Berrien County, where you guys are located, you guys have been made aware of a few bat bites and scratches, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you do have rabies. But again, that is a way that you could contract the illness. If somebody does get bit or scratched, I mean, what are some of those key first maybe symptoms that they should be kind of on the lookout for, maybe as it could potentially lead to maybe something a lot more serious?
So we don't really guide people to look for symptoms after a bite. By the time you develop symptoms, it's too late for us to do anything about it. So as soon as you know that you've maybe been exposed to a bat or another animal that could potentially carry rabies, like a stray dog or cat, we want you to seek medical care right away. A physician or a medical provider will treat the wound where the bite was, potentially with antibiotics. They'll wash and clean the wound out. And then we have a vaccine that we can give to prevent a person from becoming infected with rabies. There's a dose of immune globulin, that's antibodies, that's pre-made defense cells for your body. That goes in first. And then there's rabies vaccine. And so that first dose helps your body protect kind of protect itself until the vaccine actually has time to kick in. And then there's 3 more doses of vaccine given over the next few weeks. That preventative vaccine after an exposure is 100% effective unless there's a problem with your immune system. So it's highly effective, and rabies fatalities have gone down substantially in the United States since this was developed. So that's, as soon as you think you might have been exposed, you want to reach out to your medical provider and start that process. If you have questions or you're not sure, there was a bat in your bedroom, you're not sure if it bumped into you during the night, or there was a child alone in a room with a bat, and you're not sure if there was a bite, because bats have really tiny teeth and you can't always tell that there was a bite. So in those cases, you want to reach out to us, and anytime someone who didn't have the capacity to tell you whether or not they were exposed was in the room with a bat, we want to get that bat tested. If we get the bat tested and it tests negative, you don't need to undergo the vaccine series. If it tests positive, then we proceed. If the bat gets away, then we go through with the vaccine series.
Mm-hmm. And, capturing those bats in order for testing them is a whole other part of this whole equation. It can be easy to maybe just tell somebody, okay, when the bats are out, go inside. If you're worried about potentially running into one, just stay inside, keep the pets inside. That's easy enough to do, but that's not always the case. Like we were touching on earlier, bats sometimes do find a way to get into somebody's home, or maybe they're in your garage or your attic, and, not in places that you're frequent all that often, but then you could eventually come face to face with a bat and you don't know, did it bite me? Did it scratch me? Best ways to kind of be sure and to go through all of that. You guys actually offered some pretty good step-by-step ways to actually capture a bat, and I appreciate that. We do have that for everybody right now on our website, woodtv.com. But Sarah, if you wouldn't mind just kind of going over just, the basic steps for everybody, if they've got a bat in their house, they want to double check and they want to bring it in for testing, what is the best way to make sure that they can do so? Because they do need to keep that bat alive in order to actually do that testing.
Yeah, the bat doesn't need to be alive, but we do need it to be intact. And bats cause a lot of fear in people. And so when there's a bat in a house or a space where people are, there tends to be a bit of panic and some chaos trying to capture that bat. So the best thing to do is just take a breath, step back. The bat doesn't want to interact with you any more than you want to interact with the bat. Let it land on something, put a container over it, and then slide something flat underneath the container to sort of serve as a lid. You can tape that shut, flip it over, and then very carefully poke a few air holes in so the bat has something to breathe. We don't want someone to take after the bat and beat it with a broom or something, because the brain is the part of the bat that needs to be tested. And if people panic too much and kill the bat with an object like that, it can damage the brain and we aren't able to test it. And it's not, really humane for the bat either. So we try to have people capture the bat alive. If you do find a dead bat and you're not sure anyone was exposed, we can test that too if it hasn't decomposed too much.
All important things to definitely keep in mind. I know I'm not the only one that has maybe had a run-in with a bat indoors dealing with that before. So again, great stuff there.
Most of our exposures occur indoors. There aren't a lot of encounters people have with bats outdoors typically that we get notified about. It's usually bats getting inside, getting disorientated, and then, coming into people's living spaces, or pets seem to sometimes bring the bats indoors or capture them indoors, and then people become aware of them.
Right, absolutely. And Sarah, you did touch on it earlier, but like I said, I think it's so important that we kind of double up emphasizing just those first couple of things that people can do, whether they know or maybe they believe that maybe they've been exposed to rabies or they've been bit or scratched by a bat. Just it can be a sort of a panic, I can imagine, after you first run into a bat and you've got a million things running through your head. If you could just narrow it down to just maybe the first couple of things, the most important things that somebody can do just to maybe put their mind at ease a little bit, or really jumpstart maybe the treatment that they might need if by chance they were exposed to rabies.
Absolutely. So if you think you were exposed to a bat, like I said, you had contact with the bat, you're not sure if it bit you or not, any contact with the bat warrants capturing that bat if you can. If you're not able to, then you want to seek medical care right away. Otherwise, capture the bat, turn it in for testing, and seek medical care. But after that, We have about 72 hours where we kind of like to initiate that treatment. So we have a bit of time. So if it happens on a Saturday, you can't get a hold of us at the health department, and you're not sure what to do, you can talk to us on Monday, it's fine, or you can go to the emergency department if you're really worried. But we have about 72 hours where we like to get that treatment started. We can do it as late as 10 days, but that's not ideal. The sooner the better we get that going. Once the bat's submitted for testing, that allows, we know it's going to be tested. Then we usually have results back within about 48 hours of when we submit it. So we say up to 5 days, but usually we have them back pretty quick from the state lab. So really it's just do some first aid on the wound site, seek medical care for the bite, make sure you get that bat captured if at all possible. That's going to save everybody a lot of stress on that, and it'll save you a lot of money because the treatment can be pretty expensive. So getting that bat tested is free right now for us.
Definitely. Yeah, no, again, so make sure you find that bat, definitely clean the wound, and then just, again, breathe. Realize you do have a little bit of time before you really need to start worrying about it, but definitely get in touch with your health department as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's a time-sensitive situation, but it's not typically, an emergency that has to happen right this second. Just take a breath, catch the bat if you can, and then go see your doctor.
Yeah, I can hear a few sighs of relief right now from people not having to know that they don't have to immediately jumpstart a panic if they ever find themselves in that situation, Sara. And I know you guys
get lots of questions about kind of abnormal situations, like a bat was found in a cabin loft and multiple people were sleeping up there. What needs to happen? So you're certainly welcome to call us with any of those types of questions, and we're happy to talk you through it.
Absolutely. And we do have the number for the Berrien County Health Department right now over on our website as well. If anybody would like to check it out, you can also check out their website. They've got a ton of helpful information there as well. Sara, before we let you go, on top of providing enough information to everybody out there watching, I know that the Berrien County Health Department is also working to test out these bats and just kind of monitor the bat population and the rabies and how that's all sort of transpiring here in the county. Is there anything that we could do to make that job a little bit easier for you guys? I mean, is there anything in particular that the general population could do to make this sort of investigation, or I guess the reporting that you guys are doing, a little bit easier?
We test any bat that exposed a person or a pet. And so really it's just let your friends know that we do this. I think a lot of times people don't realize we do this until someone else tells them. I've certainly gotten calls from concerned children or parents and like, hey, my family member was exposed. You guys test bats, right? Yes, we do. So really get the word out so that we're not in a situation where someone was exposed to a bat and they didn't realize how important it was to test it and they let it go. That's really frustrating for everyone, and then that leads to that costly preventative vaccine. But again, that vaccine's really important, so we don't want people to avoid it. If people need to get it, we need them to get it. It's a life-saving treatment. Rabies is always fatal, and that vaccine is one of the most effective things we have.
All important information for a very important topic. Sara, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'd also like to just stress the importance, too, of keeping your pets up to date on vaccines. It's not uncommon for pets to be the first thing that finds the bat in the house, and even if your pet is an inside-only pet, sometimes they're the ones that encounter that bat, or sometimes they escape and get outside and bring the bat in the house. So it's really important to keep your pets up to date on vaccines as well, and that can keep the whole household safe and, avoid serious illness in your pet as well.
Absolutely. All right, great stuff, Sara. Again, thank you so much for stopping by today. We so do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us get the word out to people.
Of course. And special thanks goes out to Sara for stopping by and, again, providing some very important information, again, as we approach those colder and colder months. Again, more information over on our website as well.